UMD's planetarium was sparkling tonight. It's in celebration of Night Sky Week. Look at that. The university's planetarium is a space that provides opportunities for kids and the public to come in and explore space in a way that's inexpensive and educational. And thanks to a recent investment in a new projector, the full dome immersive experience sparkled tonight to give attendees a special experience.
Our dark skies are disappearing, which is going to happen as cities grow and populations grow. We think it's really important to preserve the dark skies that we do have so that everyone is able to have that experience.
And Starry Skies North partnered with UMD to host the free event tonight. It's part of a series of events happening on campus every single week. You remember going to planetarium when you were in school for the first time and your mind was just blown sitting there looking up at everything?
Yes, it's funny you say that because that's exactly where my mind went, was when we had field trips to the planetarium.
Yeah.
Back in the day.
And I don't think I've been to one since, so I need to get over there to UMD and experience it.
No, but thank God we do have those dark, beautiful skies around here where we can just see it in real life as well.